Bien, 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 bien. Bonsoir tout le monde. Comment ça va? Est-ce que le week-end s'est bien passé? On a un temps magnifique dehors, je sais pas ce qui se passe. Peu importe. On reste enfermé avec le thé. Un chat qui se réveille. Il est grand temps de continuer l'aventure Disco Elysium. Hey! Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Brrr. T'as les moustaches toutes mouillées. Qu'est-ce que t'as fait? T'as été boire de l'eau? Oula, ça ronronne. Ça ronronne, ça ronronne. C'est quoi? Tu vas faire des bêtises ou pas? Tu vas faire des bêtises? Oui? Non? Je peux mettre mes écouteurs? Je mets mes écouteurs. Eh, chut. Manger les écouteurs. Ok, donc la dernière fois, on a trouvé la balle qui était cachée sous le plancher, après avoir bien tourné en rond. Parce que ça va donner du coup. Ah oui, il faut qu'on aille chercher. Ok. Ouais, c'est ça qu'on a fait aujourd'hui. Enfin, la dernière fois. Map. Ok, très bien. Pas de level up. Il faut que je pense à faire celui-là, il me semble. Advanced Race Theory. On est comment au niveau des fringues et tout? Rhétorique, drama. Ok. Bon. Ah oui, il faut confronter la dame dehors, je crois. Parce qu'on n'a pas dormi, il est 20h30. Il est 20h30, on n'a pas dormi.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? Damn that girl.
And without anger, a long and harsh life has taught her not to buckle under pressure.
A bullet? You didn't put it there, did you? She did.
Gone and hid things in there? She's usually a good tenant, and not a stupid one either. Yes, I let my room to that Ruby girl. As I've done before when she's been in trouble or just looking for solitude. I've made it clear, we welcome all kinds of people here. She came last Friday, left on Monday in a hurry. What has she gotten herself into, that girl?
That's for the police to find out. Right then, please answer each question to the best of your ability. I'm sure we have a few.
Not that I know of, though she was into nice music. She once showed me a few mixtape millions she'd made. Although I guess she was pretty handy with the mechanical and technical stuff. Even fixed the heater in the shack.
She may simply have kept the equipment elsewhere.
How would I know? She's a gruff one, but not violent. She doesn't go around toting a gun.
You could ask her about your hunch, that it was a desperate measure.
Aye. Do tell. Exit from what?
The lieutenant stops writing for a moment. He looks at you, then at the old woman.
No, she's a fighter. Nothing of the sort. Sure, she was no stranger to the bottle. She fit in that way. But I only knew her to have a beer on the beach while watching the sunset.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe, chaton? Qu'est-ce qui t'arrive?
The sun sets for everyone.
Bah, viens. Hihi. Viens. J'ai besoin que d'une main pour faire ça. Pour cliquer.
She isn't what you call a drunk. Even offered me some from time to time. Said it was part of the communal life. But I never saw her lose control of herself the way some people do. She's good company. Knows how to
Okay.
talk to an old woman. At my age, you don't get a lot of quality conversation. So I really appreciate that about her.
Ok.
Did she talk to you much during her last stay?
No, she was mostly silent this time, kept to herself. She tried not to let it show, but I could tell she hadn't come to fish. Usually she likes to cast a few lines, but this time she mostly stayed in her room. I cleaned it, like I always do. No. Yes, early with the dogs, around 8 o'clock, I think.
Ok.
She probably heard the lieutenant's Kanema drive by, and it woke her up, just like it did you.
Ok.
Yes. That is a downside of having a 130 kilowatt engine. It lets the bad guys know when you are coming.
I don't know. Further up the coast, she tried to leave quietly, but the hinges on that door screeched like a cat in heat. Woke me up. I heard her rushing in those heavy boots, heading up north.
It's a peninsula. She might be trapped.
Ok.
You'll never find her, you know. She knows the coast like the back of her hand. You only just arrived.
I wouldn't worry about that, ma'am. We are persistent.
Yes, it's going to be too much work for you to find her.
Non, elle est
Better
probablement
for you
dans
to
l'immeuble
stay
là.
here, get a nice cozy fire going in the heater.
The Feld electric mural. You feel like you should go look at it
Oui.
again. Step closer this time.
What more do you want to know about that poor girl? Yes, let's hear those other questions. One thing, officer. If you do find her, please go easy on her. She's a good girl. Whatever she's gotten herself mixed up in.
Ok. Ok, c'est parti pour... On a combien au niveau de l'expérience? 70. J'ai un chat en plein devant l'écran. Là, il y a une entrée, c'est sûr. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Tu manges le micro. Et là, il y a une échelle en plus.
You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld a slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away." Above the mural, a collapsed roof, broken windows set in walls that are cracking and will soon also fall, and the coastal breeze rustling and sighing in the remains of the edifice. Feld Electrical. How ironic. All these dark rooms. Feld Electrical. You only know them as a small company that makes ink cartridges. Looks like they used to be big. There's something in the wind. sometimes the only way to go forward is to fail first.
In there? She could. Or she could be in the identical room over there, or in that boat shack, in that church tower, maybe.
Why single out this one building?
Yo.
Even though you're sure you succeeded, all is quiet. There is no cold hand brushing against your forehead, no rustle in the reeds. The wind has died down.
Et
The
attention,
room
il n'y a
in
pas
front
d'endroit
of you
où sauter
is
là.
silent as a tomb.
Oui, les bisous, les bisous. Il monte sur la tête maintenant. Ok, ça devient compliqué là. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Tu t'en vas? Ok.
Trying to talk to the wind, the city, whatever you thought would happen, did not. And now you're just standing there in the dusk hour. Is trying to talk to the city something you've done before? Is it in your secret repertoire? A trick for when you're out of ideas? A prayer of sorts? To Revachol?
How do we? I was really hoping she'd be in the village.
Pas
Okay.
d'endroit pour les chatons là. Tu vas faire une bêtise. T'es obsédé par la souris du jeu à chaque fois. Hein. Tu vas aller choper la souris sur l'écran, mais. Oh là là, tu t'es cassé la gueule. Ok.
She's probably north of the village, and this place is a peninsula. We already scanned most of the outdoor areas on our wild cryptid hunt, so we have an understanding of the geography, at least. And then there's the church. We've already searched that and can rule it out. I know it doesn't feel like progress, but exclusion is a step too. Anyway, we do it the old-fashioned way, sector by sector. Go over the whole peninsula, ask the locals, enter the places where we can enter first, like we did in the village. Then, if we're desperate, we can look where we can't enter. Bunkers, tomb drainage, this place. I'm sure it won't come to that.
Walk the coast, the old boardwalk, the reeds. An adventure awaits. An adventure on the windswept urban coast. Indeed, somehow you felt it before when it rained. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure. Like
Non, mais
that
c'est sûr,
of a
on a
woman
parcouru
emptying
toute la côte des
her
milliards
lungs.
de fois.
She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it, in through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs.
She's down there.
Okay. Why? Right. How do we get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically.
Il y a une échelle là.
Finally, my time to shine.
Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old.
Yes. 2 secondes, je vais voir c'est quoi? What is the reasoning? Put the advanced race theory. Ok. On va faire ça. Il nous faut un slot. Yes. Voilà, voilà. Je sens que tu vas faire des conneries. Et j'ai monté juste là. Hein. Donc, va pas faire comme avec le jus de fruits, t'en as foutu sur tout le bureau et sur les écrans la dernière fois. Donc, joue, cale-toi quelque part. Je vais couper le micro le temps de pouvoir monter, comme ça j'aurai pas besoin de la surveiller. Hein. Faut que j'aurai fini de monter. Ok, à tout de suite.
A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, the first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground, and you're 180? Not to mention that the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. What if you were to do something more subtle? What if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Astral projection.
Teleportation is not a thing. Okay, let's say teleportation is a thing. Wouldn't you need some kind of scientific apparatus to create a teleportation field? Oh yes, it could hurt a lot.
The rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. All you need to do is close your eyes and concentrate. Zoot, zap, pow, crinkle. It's like magic. You feel yourself disappear, your atoms fading out of existence.
Okay, well, that's impressive, but...
Bam! You find yourself on the roof, having mastered the art of physical displacement.
I just saw you climb the ladder. You just climbed it like a regular person.
The wind at the top of the building starts howling loudly, blowing away the lieutenant's voice.
Never mind. Find a way to let me in when you get inside. Don't go adventuring without backup, especially if we think the suspect may be hiding here.
Ok, non, voilà. On découvre enfin un nouveau lieu, c'est trop bien. Ah ouais, je me disais. Ok. Ah, on peut ouvrir là. Très bien.
2 rusty metal plates that slide apart. The doors seem to be on rails, but they've gotten jammed.
Huh. I hope no one dangerous heard that. After you climbed up to the roof, you mean? There's a maintenance entrance under the boardwalk. It's next to a drain pipe, possibly a storm drain. It was easy to miss before. At least now we have an exit, so let's get going. It's time to investigate these passages.
Ok, let's go. Quoi? Ok. Ouh. Et moi, qu'est-ce qui t'arrive? T'ennuies? T'as dormi toute l'après-midi, t'aurais pu dormir un peu de plus, hein? Eh bien. Hop là. Attends, je vais bouger. Je vais enlever ces manettes. Rien. Comme ça. Pour aller chasser de la souris sur l'écran si tu veux. Oh. Tiens, mets-toi là. Regarde. Regarde.
Could this have been the killer's hideout? And this narrow window, the point of origin of the shot that killed the mercenary? This does look like an embrasure, a slit made for shooting out of. In the darkness, you can barely make out the falling snow. It settles, making the night still quieter.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Tu veux des câlins? Et après, quand je t'en fais, tu te barres. Donc, tu vois?
It's a great place to hide, certainly, but there hasn't been anyone here in ages. Indeed, no one could get a clear view. Well, at least we've been thorough.
A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. The plaque reads,
Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here.
The lieutenant does not seem to share your enthusiasm.
Half a century? This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers.
Good hiding place for someone who's up to no good.
I won't stand in your way, but only after we're through with this case. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
Years' worth of dust is shaken off. Someone crouches, heels digging into wet sand.
Ok. On sort de là. Allez, allez, chop chop. Ah d'accord, je peux aller par là. Oh, quoi. Non, non. Putain, pourquoi il se met à courir de ouf là? Attends, putain. D'habitude, faut que je clique
You
1000
feel
fois.
something, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp.
No, what do you mean? Either way, we ought to be careful. No, but you are the sensitive one.
It's not a quib. The situation is dangerous.
Looks like our suspect. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do.
You will upset the balance of power in Martinez. This part of town is a fine clockwork puzzle. Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
You're right. However corrupt he may be, nothing happens in Martinez without him knowing.
In this case, we can't afford to be squeaky clean.
I don't know. Little things?
You've been very, very thorough there. Your fingers approve.
I still don't think that was a good idea. But yes, our affairs with the Wild Pines are in order. Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we?
Let's try not to worry. If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise.
I wouldn't be so sure. You haven't exactly been sneaking.
Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back.
Ok, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Est-ce que je dois faire un truc en particulier ou... Je sais pas si je dois me préparer. Peut-être qu'il faut que je mette le flingue là. Parce que je peux faire d'autres. J'ai envie de dire booster tout ce qui est motorix et physique. On a quoi en physique? Motorix, psyché, intellect. « 14. Ouais.
Holding the gun feels natural and satisfying. It's like an extension of your arm. It reminds you of the day you first held it. This gun, Sunrise Parabellum, will be the only thing standing between you and the all-consuming nothingness that threatens to eat the world.
Ok. Voyons voir, voyons voir. Hein? Trop bien ça. D'ailleurs, je vais peut-être le mettre. Yes. Est-ce que j'ai des trucs pour booster mon physique? À combien il est d'abord? Physical Instrument -1. Pas cool. Qu'est-ce qui diminue mon... Lui. On est bien là. Ok, donc là on est bon.
Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain,
J'ai oublié de
like you've
sauvegarder.
never felt before. It's like
Pardon.
1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once. But her words are the only ones you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse. Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance.
As she says the word officer, you feel a spike in the agony. It sounds like the entire radio frequency range. No, buddy, that's not going to help. You can't shield yourself from this. It's an entirely new type of experience. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on doing your job. Tell her she's under arrest.
Really now? Check this out.
You're overwhelmed with a new surge of violent static. It feels like a blood vessel exploded.
I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
The explosion of static you're hearing. It's the ULAN frequency, blasted from that pale emitter that Angus mentioned.
That boy's really gotta learn to keep his trap shut. And it's not a bloody pale emitter. A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the
Ah, il y avait une
pale
sorte de
more
pale.
manageable.
Moins 10,
With
je
a
sais pas
lot
quoi.
of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the Pale. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations.
Avec Sona, je crois.
Not a fun job manning those stations. All alone out there in the Pale, people lose their minds in just a few years.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for Pale latitude compression. That's why you may be hearing some numbers.
She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking, and you just might get an opportunity to break loose.
Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead.
So she thinks of you as hunters, not cops. And
I built it myself.
she's proud of it too, as she ought to be. This is way beyond your abilities.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Oh yeah, way beyond. The Pale? It's the end of the world. Yeah, I stuck my head in there before using it on you. It seemed like the ethical thing to do. No, once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself, though. It's a bit like waking out of a very confusing dream. If you've got something really important to say, you can do it through the white noise.
Turn this.
God damn it. Fine. If you really want to talk, I can dial it down. I've also got a gun, by the way.
The gun she's carrying is a two-barreled front loader, not like the murder weapon. Well, it doesn't feel much better, but she can form sentences now. Just keep her talking, and you'll get through this. There's only 3 meters between you and the machine. Be careful when you make your move. That'll be it for questions. Bide your time.
I heard you in the passages, and I've been preparing for quite a while. So you found my shack, huh? I'm not surprised. Not anymore, no. This could have turned out pretty bad for me if you hadn't walked right into 25 bands of ultra-high frequencies.
That's her admitting the bullet was an emergency exit. It was dark in the shack. The waves outside had calmed down. She looked at the loaded gun. Then she cracked the barrel open and took the bullet out. Not today.
No, I didn't do it. I only helped stage the lynching, though I doubt that makes much of a difference to you. Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? No, he wouldn't have broken first. Oh, I knew the kitten had claws, but not like this. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you find me? My boys? What? I don't even understand what you're trying to get at here. Oh, doesn't even matter. How can they be my boys when they're not even my friends?
A dull despair is creeping into her voice.
How the fuck do the rest of you get by? Like what? I already told you I didn't do it.
A strong moral compass. She still wants the opportunity to make a case for herself.
Man, I was with the boys the whole night. I hope they at least bothered to impress that upon me. Yeah, and I'm sure they also made some funny remarks about it. They always do. Can't do either without some power of mind over bladder. And anyway, that wouldn't have been enough time. Wow, now I'm curious. Please, explain. Don't know it, but also...
Evaluating your competence as a police officer.
The shot couldn't have come from the roof, or we would have all heard it downstairs.
She has a point there. No one mentioned.
That didn't go super well. You've got to lay something better on her.
So, Heart of Gold Tommy fucked me over too. Never trust a musician. Yeah, that figures. What now? You're going to arrest me for drug trafficking?
She's more upset than she lets on.
That's your prerogative. No. Gifts of flowers and candy aren't really my style.
She deliberately avoided naming the mob she worked for.
I got lucky being a dispatcher. Never had to do any of the really dirty work myself. This gun has only been used for self-defense against serious scum. Based on what I've heard about you, you are serious scum. And? Sure don't.
The breech loader?
No.
This is such a wipeout.
The gun store. Trigger Happy Jacks. What did you think? That I'm going to squeal on my gun supplier? A knocked-away AD front loader. Two-barreled. Not really what you were looking for, I'm guessing.
That isn't it.
No, they're not practical. Break too often. Yeah, evidence. I considered her a good friend, yeah. I'm not following your clever insinuations, Detective. If I want to stare at a pretty girl, I can pick one up at a bar. Or, worst case scenario, look at a naughty photo. Who has time to go skulking about the whirling, drilling holes in walls? Nope. Look, she has an effect on people. That je ne sais quoi that makes it impossible not to look at her when she walks into the room, and very difficult to look away. For the same reason that she's everyone's type as an object of desire, she's not irreplaceable. Oh, so that's where you were going with this. That's a very sentimental way of putting it. We both had pasts and didn't want to catch up with us.
The lieutenant watches her expectantly, occasionally shaking from the pain.
Okay, fine. I was into her. Claudia was into me too for a time, I know it. We even fooled around once.
Claudia only said they maybe kissed. Someone is lying here.
If that's what she wants on the record, so be it. I'm not about to go into details for you to jerk off to later.
Seriously, just move on.
She rejected me with some wishy-washy bullshit about how she was confused because she felt so close to me and valued my friendship so much, and how guilty she felt for leaving me on. I knew that wasn't the whole story, but thought, fine, I'll take it and move on. Yeah, one time when we'd both been drinking, I said some heated things about how dangerous her patterns with men were. I was a little worried she'd blow it out of proportion in her head. Yeah, the girl seemed terrified. The merc was beyond caring what happened to his mortal coil. What the hell, man? Yeah, why not?
Her hand slipped from the dial of the compressor for a moment, almost turning it down. Then she put her hand back. Not yet.
Go ahead. It's your body.
And mine too, he thinks.
Who doesn't? Oh, you probably mean Claudia's rooftop. Sure, I've hung out there. She's got this great antenna. It's very powerful. I used it to tune into RCM frequencies. The view's pretty bomb, too. But you might say the antenna was the main attraction there, yeah. Yes, I'm sure. I didn't like him. Hardened mercenaries aren't particularly likable types. You think I was envious of his conquest?
Hey, Kate.
Look, pussy's not a problem for me. And definitely not a reason to off someone. Plenty of broken people who don't come with that kind of body count. Besides, they're paid well for what they do. Yeah, sure. And I didn't like Wild Pines sending in those foreign hirelings. Me and a fuck ton of other people around here. I'm listening. Yeah? Where?
More questions before doing
Oh là
anything.
là.
How should I know? As I keep saying, he already had a bullet in his head when I got to him, and there hasn't been any useful gossip over the radio.
Those rings around her eyes, her tired voice. She's been staying up late, listening in on the conversations crisscrossing Martinez.
Police radio?
What are you doing?
You've been following the case?
Who hasn't? You know, I can still see him there, in Claus's room, lying on his side. He was still warm,
Okay.
but the bluish light coming through the broken window made him look as though he'd been dead for a good long while. I saw you roll into town. I wasn't about to stick around for questioning by a goddamn la puta madre.
Puta madre.
So this is what she was scared to tell Titus. This cop.
Ooh, wait. You're doing everything at once? Too good. Too good. How was your weekend?
Yes, you. Everyone says you're his peon, his human can opener.
Oh, fucking
Oh,
me.
Fucking hell. And why me? You hear through the white noise. It's especially bad suddenly. Felt like a vein exploded.
Everyone in Jamrock, the cops, the criminals. Why do you think I'm holed up in here with a goddamn death ray waiting for you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's sunny. I think I'm gonna get pizza tonight. What do you think? Pizza?
If she knows that about you, she must know your real name too.
Nah. That I'm not planning to shoot you is the extent of the courtesy I can extend to la puta madre at present. You've been to my lorry. You think the biggest player in Jamrock appreciates competition? And now I have Harry Can Opener in my lair. Fucking Titus.
She's not going to change her mind that easily. She still perceives you as a threat. Wait, one thing, possibly small, but she said you rolled into town. Was that you singular or plural? She might know something.
Yeah, you had your death squad with you. What happened to them anyway? Well, it wasn't this scrawny dude. You had two guys and a lady. The guys looked pretty buff. Lady wasn't bad either. One of the guys seemed chipper, a blonde.
Oh.
The other had a brooding something or other about him. And the woman was the only one in uniform. All were carrying. That sound about right?
No idea who these people are, literally. Satellite Officer Vic Blair looks out of the window grimly, then puts his coffee down and turns to Patrol Officer Minot. We can either take a room here in the working or go home for today. Let's go home, Jean. Nothing's going to happen today, she responds quietly. Jean takes his blonde wig off. Call Heidelstein. He can give us a ride.
Fantastic. I've got to get on the road. Then you can go find your
72.
friends.
Okay.
Unless you have anything pressing to ask me.
Yes.
What bunker? Don't know anything about it. No one's been around since I set up camp. But I'm sure I'm not the first vagabond to...
Jesus. Fucking Christ.
Keep calm. Breathe in. She eyes you warily, as though gauging your sincerity.
It's okay. We just want to...
All right, don't kill yourself over it. I was shooting the shit with Hardy and the boys over a few beers, like always. Then Klasha comes in, all pale and shuddering.
Mm-hmm.
She sits down with a drink, trying to steady her nerves. So I grab a seat next to her. No, I really didn't. She's not that easy to read. I just assumed she'd done too much blow. It wouldn't be a first for her. But no such luck. She was in some deep shit. She asked me to come upstairs. The merc she'd been going with was lying on the bedroom floor, dead.
Dead.
I knew she...
You made it look like he'd been hanged.
What? No. Faking a lynching was her idea. Yeah, in cold blood. It really surprised me
Quel bordel.
how quickly she was able to get a hold of herself once we got up there. It was like she was another person. The party girl was gone. She asked me to help her drag him into the shower so she could wind the shower head around his neck to fake lividity. Then she dressed him while I went to get the Hardy Boys. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to admire her or be disturbed. As I keep telling you cops, we didn't hear anything downstairs. No gunshot.
Ok,
nothing.
ok.
But even if this is true, weren't you worried this lynching might lead to...
War? The thought crossed my mind. But the mercenary's death was going to have repercussions either way. Although the way things are going... fuck it. I'm not responsible for these people after what they did to me.
Ok, on est bon là? Dead.
Violent white
oui.
noise becomes
Comme
even more
d'habitude.
overwhelming closer to the compressor. Feels like your brain is swelling up in your skull.
Oui.
Officer, are you okay?
The white noise turns into a wall of mist and grey mold, bubbling, sweeping over the city. It tears up buildings and raises sidewalks into the sky. It's Revelation, at the end of the world, and it hasn't even really started yet. Nothing. Just slow disappearance. You look at a tree or a coal shed, then look away, and turning back, the shed will be gone, and you won't even remember that the tree was ever there, much less what kind of tree it was. Pine or a birch. Yes, but even in this anguish you can't see its precise shape. It's unimaginable for a reason. The same thing that happens to all humans. You will become vapor, dissolve into frequencies. The visions compete for space in your brain, with the hailstorm of radio signals coming from the compressor. You fragments on bone scattering, like your thoughts at this moment, sticking now to forebodings, now to a strangely familiar voice.
Yeah, we saw.
8, 7, 1, 3.
Officer, what are you doing? You...
Proximity to the Pale compressor is overloading his mind. He'll be okay once it's off, though.
8, 7, 5, 2, 6, 3.
Look, I know this isn't very fun for you, so let's wrap this up. You have a tribunal to attend.
She knows about the tribunal.
Tribunal is an awfully fancy word for what they're going to do. But yeah, I was listening to their frequency. Now they're gonna put on a show before meting out punishment. Even though those assholes gave me up, I'm worried for the boys. And you, watch out for yourselves. You seem to have a habit of walking into traps. I'm guessing you don't know that a third mercenary has come to town just in time for the tribunal. Now you do.
If one hornet can kill 40 honeybees in a minute, then 3 hornets should be able to kill 120 honeybees in a minute.
A third. Ah, this is bad.
As I said, watch out.
The pain is becoming unbearable now.
Glad to have been of assistance. Best of luck to you, officers.
The woman runs past you and disappears into the darkness of the tunnel.
Ah ouais. Comme ça là. Salut!
All things considered, it could have gone worse. No, I don't think she did it.
It's too late now, anyway.
Now we have to come up with a really good excuse for why we walked right into a trap like that. This isn't going to look good in the report. Her tent. Maybe there's something in there.
Ok, cool. Tudu. Non.
Yes?
Oh, je te fais. Yes.
The plain red tent stands by dispassionately. It was pitched by practiced hands. She's used to camping out. The tent looks old, but well maintained. In the darkness of the tent, a rolled up sleeping bag, cooking utensils, some books, and a kerosene lamp. It reeks of cigarettes. Assorted soft covers, mostly pulp horror. A motor carriage lies buried in the snow on one cover. On another, a ghost airship.
See anything?
Rager Monthly, Journal of Material Science. More Technological Digest. You pocket the worn brown leather journal. A trusted friend left behind.
Cool.
We should read this immediately. Like, right now.
Okay, okay. What is this? Yes. Thank you.
A thick journal.
Oh,
The cover is worn like someone used.
I want to save.
A thick journal. The cover is worn like someone used to carry it around in their back pocket. It's made of full-grain leather. The lower left corner of the back cover sports an embossed brand name. Schneller.
Schneller. Schneller!
Schneller is a stationery brand from Gottwald, beloved
Gottwald.
among architects and engineers. She's got good taste and must have taken whatever she recorded here seriously. The journal falls open. About 2/3 of its ruled pages have been filled. The large cursive of someone who writes quickly and confidently, perhaps too confidently. Many phrases and even paragraphs have been crossed out, with tiny corrections scrawled above and in the margins. It's a mix of logistical notes, diagrams, and personal reflections, all dated.
It's good she left in a hurry. We could learn a lot from this.
Hard to tell exactly. It's mostly noted down in code. Looks like contact information, quantities, directions.
There could be useful information about local operations in those notes.
Esoteric radio technology. The most recent ones probably pertain to the latitude compressor, sketches, calculations of distance and density, short wry observations of people and places, probably a way to pass the time on the road. The first entry is from August 2nd of last year. It reads simply, I know my position is precarious. All I can do is make myself as useful as I can while looking for a way out. Nothing on March 4th. March 5th, though, well, that's bound to come back and bite me in the ass. You have no idea what she means. These are personal notes. Don't expect to understand all of it.
Okay.
That name
Puta
isn't
madre.
mentioned as far as you can tell. Small wonder. Would you talk about La Puta Madre in your journal? You do see an M, though. La Puta Madre. M is mentioned on March 9th and March 15th.
Okay.
Great. M's peon is coming to town, no doubt to investigate the lynching. But also, I feel it in my gut to finally put a bullet in my head while I'm napping in my lorry or on a smoke break. Then again, isn't that what I've been doing ever since I got the call? The call? Did M call her personally? Why? Were you supposed to find her, even apart from the investigation then? On M's request? Whatever you may look like, you don't feel like a hired assassin. Been holed up here for 3 days now. I'm used to being alone and all, but I don't know when I'll be able to leave, or if I'll be ratted out. Did M feel truly betrayed by me? I was feeling threatened. He'd have to know if he threatened people, they'd take measures to protect themselves. The entry ends abruptly. The most recent entry is from today. It reads, even when I leave here, if I leave here alive, what's my next move? Staging a lynching is a crime, even if I'm not accused of murder on top of that. Forever on the run. Not really my idea of the open road. Man, I was really looking forward to winning.
It looks like she might have been framed.
That would be a first, or a fourth. But who's counting, he thinks. Very rarely does anyone actually get framed.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. We have other reasons to arrest her. Besides, I'm not sure her life as a fugitive is going to be much better than we does. No, I don't think you are. Ask someone in your precinct if you want to be sure. Classier was the one who pointed the finger at Ruby. Perhaps she was trying to steer us away from herself, or... Either way, we need to keep an eye on her. One thing is for certain. We have business back in the whirling in rags. Questions to ask. Let's be careful though. The tip she gave us about the tribunal was disturbing.
Ok, je vais faire une mini pause et je reviens dans 5 minutes. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back in 5 minutes.